In this video, we're going over Bitcoin. I want to show you guys how Bitcoin has surpassed $100,000 and has stayed above it. So we're sticking to Bitcoin right now. And what I want to show you guys is that, people are scared of Bitcoin right now. It is at a high of $104,000, $106,000. People have estimates for it to hit about $120,000, right? So at the end of the day, Bitcoin has been staying around this for a pretty long time now. The question is, should you be investing? How much should you be investing? And what's going to happen in the long term, right? So in my opinion, I think Bitcoin has a long way to go. Yes, it may go from 104,000, 110,000 to 80,000, right? It may drop back down to 80,000. People forget so fast that Bitcoin was at 15,000. I remember I put a video out and I was telling people Bitcoin's at 15,000. Get into it, get into it. And I told people just dollar cost average, right? The thing is that Bitcoin has come a long way since then, right? So we're talking about, four times as much money nowadays, three times it went up. So so it's hard for me to say that Bitcoin is going to hit 120, 140, 160 just at the drop of a dime. But the strategy that I always talk about is dollar cost averaging over the long run. If you take Bitcoin and you divide it however much you can invest, if you can invest, 50, I always say $50, but 50 to $100, $25 a week, whatever it is, if you can invest on a long term and break it up, all this volatility that Bitcoin is going through, it doesn't bother you. Now, people get the FOMO of putting all this money into Bitcoin, but at the end of the day, Bitcoin has been doing good. And look at this rally, experiencing a 50% increase over the past year, outperforming traditional assets. So everybody knows Bitcoin's outperforming everything. So you just got to hold on to it and take the volatility up and down, just ride it, ride the wave. Global adoption is happening. El Salvador has been collecting Bitcoin, acquiring one Bitcoin daily since November 2022, and now they have over 6,000 Bitcoin. Bhutan has 12,206 Bitcoin, positioning itself among the top national holders. Okay, and they utilize hydroelectric power. So Bhutan is in the background just stacking Bitcoin. Pakistan is stacking Bitcoin, established itself as the first government led strategic reserve to attract global investments. So Pakistan is above a lot of countries when it comes to how fast they implement, these money moves. So things are moving all across the world. Bitcoin, I know people are very nervous. We're going to go over the charts after this, but there's a lot to be said when Bitcoin is being held by government after government after government. The risk of hesitation. Now, this is what I try to tell people a lot. There's a risk of you overpaying for a stock. There's a risk of you overpaying for crypto. There's a risk of all that stuff. But there's also a risk of you messing out. And that risk can be even bigger than you throwing some money down. Think about it like this. When Bitcoin was at $200, did you have an extra $200 to put in? You know, me myself, I did the same thing. It's the same situation where I wish I would have put in more. Everybody does. You feel me? Everybody does. So at the end of the day, you have a huge risk of missing out on something, knowing that you know that Bitcoin has been going up as fast as it does, and although it's volatile, it's been returning the money. 63% of crypto holders acknowledge that emotional decisions have okay, negatively impacted their portfolio, underscoring the importance of strategic investing and having a plan, right? So people are admitting out there, yes, Bitcoin is scaring me. It's hard to hold on to because it's going up and down, but dollar cost averaging takes that away because at the end of the day, you're just putting money aside and you're putting it in there and you're letting it ride, right? Money printing, right? So one thing I want to tell you guys, so right now we're in a situation where Bitcoin is sitting at over 100,000, right? but it's been sitting here for a long time. The longer we go sideways, the better it is for Bitcoin, the better it is for stocks, the better it is for everything. You're you want it to go sideways and then up. I'd rather go sideways and up than down, sideways, and then up, right? Because you're holding on to your wealth, you're accumulating more at the time. Yes, when it goes down, that's great, but you're also losing wealth when it goes down, right? So there's only a fixed amount. 21 million Bitcoin ever existed. Inflation hedge. People use it as an inflation hedge. You saw what was happening when the stocks were falling. Bitcoin stayed steady. Now people know it's an inflation hedge. You're talking about retirement plans. You're talking about governments putting their money in for that one fact that when they saw that America was in trouble, America had the market falling because of tariffs, Bitcoin stayed true because at the end of the day, the high demand of Bitcoin is going to outpace everything else. And then also, it's a hedge against inflation. All right. So once the Fed start printing, once they start printing that money, things are going to get wild. Bitcoin may come down once there's more dollar bills on the market. It may take a little drop and then go back up because people will have more money in hand than they actually do now. So at the end of the day, Bitcoin benefits from all this money printer that's going to happen. Eventually, the money printing will stop and it will scare people. People will pull back, and that's when people take their money out of Bitcoin, and that's when Bitcoin eventually comes down a little bit. So that's not going to stop. But you can't sit here and try to tell the future of when it's going to happen. So you just got to know that it's going to happen. But when it happens, have a plan, right? So we're going to jump into the stock real quick. I want to show you guys BTC. It is sitting at $104,000 right now. So what I'm seeing right now, this is an indicator that I made that shows CAGR rates, slowdowns, and a speed up in CAGR. Also, if you invested $50 every week for the past 5 years, you would have $54,537 in BTC. This is in Bitcoin. So this is without up and down. Who cares what happens? You would have still made 54,000 in the past 5 years. How many stocks can you say do that right there? Now, as you can see, Bitcoin is coming down. I have this chart here. So this is 30% up, 30% down. So you guys are going to like this chart right here. So what this is when Bitcoin goes above this, that's 30% over the moving average, right? Now, the 50 moving average is the blue line. And as you can see, it has popped up over the green line once before. Let me take this out. This is 2021 and the bull market of 2021 to the end of 2021, okay? So what we're seeing is that once we popped over that green line, Bitcoin kept staying over it and then came down, right? On the second top, it went up and came down, but it didn't come down as much, right? So we still, in my opinion, we still have time. As long as Bitcoin keeps going sideways, we have time to build up everybody's emotions building. You want them to start enjoying Bitcoin. You want people to be like, oh yeah, I realize this is keeping my money safe, right? When all the stock market's going crazy, Bitcoin's keeping your money safe, right?